What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 36 of the Alchemy Devlog. This is Isaac from Alchemy, here to share with you all of the exciting new stuff from the dev team. We've got a new game system out on the marketplace, Tales of the Valiant, from Kobold Press. Very great system out on our marketplace. We've also got some great updates for Dragonbane and some updates to our actions in general. I'll go through all of that here in just a moment. I'll also take some time to take a look at our roadmap, talk about what the team's going to be working on next, and go through some questions and answers that have come in since last time. Let's dive in. First up, let's take a look at Tales of the Valiant. This is a new game from Kobold Press, originally called Project Black Flag. This is based on the 5th edition SRD, but it kind of spun out of that and became its own very cool beast. So we've got the Player's Guide, the Monster Vault, and then the Caverns of the Spore Lord adventure available on our marketplace right now. And in classic Alchemy fashion, we have a bunch of very cool articles created for all of the cool stuff in the book with all the beautiful artwork, everything about the character classes and how you play the game. All in the Player's Guide. We've got some NPCs in there as well for the basics. Of course, the Monster Vault has a whole bunch more, 406 more monsters in there. You've got cool pre-made characters, and we made some big upgrades to 5th edition while we were in here doing things for Tales of the Valiant, because we're sharing some of the stuff across these two systems. So you've got things like this stat block for this rogue pre-made. You've got some new fields here for things like passive perception, which is something we've needed to display for 5th edition for a while. Moving on down the sheet, we've got sections for things like actions, class features, your lineage traits, and heritage traits. If you've played 5th edition on Alchemy, this should look fairly familiar. It's very similar to the 5th edition character sheet. You've got a section for your spells. This is just the view side of the sheet, by the way. And then this character's kind of description with some of the facets of that side of the character. We have a few pre-created handouts here, things like combat references. There's just so much good stuff in this universe. All the items ready to use. We've got all the spells in here. We even went ahead and created a few actions with things like roll tables and your weapon options. One of the very cool new Tales of the Valiant features. And the beautiful art that's in this book has been split out into a bunch of scenes ready to use to bring your Tales of the Valiant games to life. And then, of course, all these assets are available here to take a look at and download and use. The NPC stat blocks got a bit of an upgrade here too. These are some really cool monsters. The Void Dragon. You saw the passives on the character side under the senses, but we've also got things like resistances and immunities listed here on the stat block side of the character sheets now, both for Tales of the Valiant and 5th edition. All right, let's jump into a Tales of the Valiant game to see a little bit of how it plays over there. So I've got a game set up here for it already. This is the Caverns of the Spore Lord adventure that you can find on our marketplace. I'm going to play this player character for a dwarf wizard and take a look at some of its things. So you saw this side in the universe, but if we go into the edit side here, you've got selections for things like your lineage. That's sort of things like beastkin, dwarf, elf, selectable here. You also have a heritage that you can select or enter some custom data for, and then your class or classes if you're multi-classing. One upgrade that 5th edition also got along with Tales of the Valiant is the ability for player characters to have more than one movement speed. So you have your walking speed listed here, but you can go ahead and add additional movement speeds if you want to have those or need to have those on your character sheet right here. And then you've got your skills and abilities all down here, and the familiar tactical section for configuring options about your tactical token. Trackers, of course, core alchemy kit. If you've been watching for a while or played around on Alchemy, you're probably very familiar with trackers. They're awesome. You've got all of your armor and weapon proficiencies, as well as your tool proficiencies and languages. You can select from all these to get those fields populated, or you can type in whatever you'd like as well. You've got these blocks for class features and lineage traits and heritage traits as well. And finally, talents, your character abilities that you learn every once in a while, sort of like feats in other systems. Round out your character with your description to put in your background and some new Tales of the Valiant things like homeland and adventuring motivation, as well as the visual characteristics of your character, any organizations you may be affiliated with, and your allies and enemies and other notes. If you haven't played a 5th edition like game on Alchemy, we have a very big spells tab on spellcasting characters that lets you sort of select from and turn on different spells just by clicking on them. It's a little bit of a different UI than anything else that's out there for other systems like Dragonbane, but it's pretty cool. And then lastly, you've got equipment here where you can set up your wealth for your character and add your items. All in all, there's a lot of great improvements that went into 5th edition to make this system happen, and then some customization specific to Tales of the Valiant here that are very useful. The spells for both Tales of the Valiant and 5th edition got a bit of an upgrade here as well. Let's go ahead and cast Firebolt. If we pop open this spell, we've got a bit more information here. The description is rendering Markdown now, so if you want to spruce up your 5th edition or Tales of the Valiant spells with Markdown, you can do that now. Put images in there, put headers, italicized and different colored text like this. We've also got the higher level casting split out from the description of the spell and visible on the spell casting side of things now too. So you can see how a spell behaves at higher levels right here. And for Tales of the Valiant, you have different sources, magic sources for spells. Those are listed down here in the tags for the spell. So this one is an arcane source in the evocation school, and it's a cantrip, of course. This one has scaling for higher circles. Spell power levels in Tales of the Valiant are called circles. So this is a first circle spell, but you can cast it using a spell slot of a higher circle. So that gets described down here. And here's an example of a spell that's in 2 sources. We've got the arcane source and the primordial source, and this is in the evocation school. So all that awesome spell data is right there for you. And of course, you can make skill checks and saving throws for your abilities right here in the skills panel, and work on your equipment to get those actions loaded up when you equip or unequip things. So it removed your staff attack actions here. If you go ahead and equip that staff over here in the attack, the actions panel, you've got your staff two-handed attack loaded in from that being equipped. There's a whole bunch more in Tales of the Valiant, mostly on the universe side. Lots of really great articles in there. So I encourage you to go check it out if you haven't already. It's a cool system. All right, let's jump on over to a different game to take a look at some upgrades to actions. We are hard at work on upgrades to some core alchemy pieces, actions, and trackers to support some of the remaining V1 titles, games like Vampire. So let me show you what some of that looks like in a Dragonbane game. Make sure that's reasonably leveled there. And I'm going to go ahead and play Archmaster Aeodon here. One of the things that we rolled out this week is the ability for actions, dice pool actions, to take their target number from a prompt. So I'll show you how that works in an action here. I've got a prompt pool testing action. If I go in and edit this, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is a dice pool. It rolls 2d20, and our target for this dice pool is a die should be considered a success if it's under or equal to, and here's where it gets a little funny. We've got an attribute of prompt with a little $sign in front of it. Probably going to change the way that displays, but for now it's a $sign prompt. And that just tells the system to ask you what attribute or skill you want to use. And then we're throwing in a static bonus of +4. So I'll close out of this and roll this action. And when I use it, there's this new prompt that comes up and it asks me, what attribute do I want to use? We're going to use strength. And then what skill do I want to use? We'll choose acrobatics and then click roll to launch that dice pool out there. And it calculates the target based on those selections I had made. So I picked strength, which is an 8, plus acrobatics, which is a 5, that's 13, plus the static 4 that I had in there is a target of 17 for each of these to be considered a success. And again, that was under or equal to 17. So both the 9 and the 5 are successes here. So we get 2 successes added up. By the way, this roll doesn't really have anything to do with Dragonbane, but I just wanted to show some other Dragonbane stuff, and so we're in this game already. But this is a big upgrade to dice pools. We're going to be bringing this to other parts of actions in the near future as well. So what's new in Dragonbane is some things for the encounters. I'm already in an encounter here. I've had this one turned on for a while. Let me go ahead and turn that off. And I'll show you some of the cool new goodies for initiative. So this isn't specific to Dragonbane, but it's most likely useful to Dragonbane. When you turn on initiative now, you will get a little star next to the character who's first in initiative, and they'll be marked with that star throughout that entire encounter. So if we move on from Ambrosius the Toad, you can see that he will be down here at the bottom of the initiative list, but he's still highlighted with that accent color, and he has the star indicating that he was the first in initiative. And if we keep going through these, he moves up, and you can see that star following him until we're back to the first in the initiative order. Just a nice little round indicator, if you will. Next up, we've got a new Shuffle Initiative button. This is specifically helpful for Dragonbane, where you have kind of a new initiative order every round. So you can just click that button and get a new list. Looks like only 2 people changed places here, but we click it a few more times to get some different initiative lists. So this time the Ghost is up first, and then the Toad, and then our Mage. So this is available in all game systems. So just look for that Shuffle Initiative button if you ever want to re-randomize the initiative order based on the rules for that game. That's what that'll do. Also new in Dragonbane, we have rollable attribute checks. So if you're playing a character, we'll go ahead and jump back onto Archmaster. You can roll attribute checks now too. So if you need to make a straight strength roll, you can do that here. You can add in additional dice if you want to, or just roll it straight up and get your result. A nice success there. And you can push attribute and skill rolls now if they're failures. So this one was a fail, so we've got our push card here. You can click that to just roll again, and that shows up as pushed. You can do that for any attribute or skill roll, kind of rounding out Dragonbane. There's a few more things we need to do for Dragonbane Initiative to really round that out, but you can get through most situations via drag and drop to rearrange people in there manually, or shuffling when it's time for a new round. But there's a few character features that we don't currently support fully in automated initiative rules that would be nice to round out in the long run. So that's where Dragonbane is at today. All right, let's take a look at the roadmap and see what's coming up next. On the development side of things, the only V1 feature that we have left on the roadmap is Streamer Mode. That's still sitting on my backlog to pick up soon, and hopefully we'll be getting to that. On the content side of things, we have a few systems in flight right now. We're currently working on wrapping up Eat the Reich and Vampire is in progress. We're making upgrades to, I mentioned this earlier, we're making upgrades to our action system and to our pip trackers and to our system builder capabilities to fully support Vampire, but that's one that's front of mind for us, and we're working on the foundational pieces that we need to bring Vampire to life, or unlife, I guess. They're vampires. We've also got Degenesis coming in hot. We're going to be working on some upgrades for that very soon. And Outgunned, which isn't really on this list, there's going to be a release for that. It's a smaller thing that we're working on while continuing to sprint forward on these V1 game systems. Outside of these game systems and what's on the roadmap already, a few things that we're working on is some big upgrades to Sheet Builder and System Builder to allow for segmentation of different data fields by universe module. So where that's going to come into play is if a universe module adds certain class features or different character options that you would find in dropdowns, and that's only available in one marketplace item or one universe module, we can kind of relate those to that module, and so that when you add in a certain module to your game, those new character fields will come in automatically. Think about like 5th edition is probably a bad example because it's not on System Builder yet and it's not going to get this upgrade, but having different races that come from another module show up automatically is the kind of thing that we're building support for with this System Builder data segmentation project. Some smaller stuff that's coming down the pipeline is the ability to delete all journal messages. If you're on our Discord, we had some discourse about this earlier in the week, and I kind of went on record as committing to make this feature happen in the next week. It's on my list. I'm going to be working on it. Just a simple button to clear out all the journal messages. We're finding that for games that have a lot of history and a lot of heavy messages, you can have a little bit of a performance slowdown if there's a lot of those. I think that's a separate issue that we should tackle, but for right now, the ability to delete all of those messages helps in more ways than just performance. So that's going to be coming soon. I mentioned the pip changes coming for Vampire. We've also got action changes coming up soon. And I'm going to be jumping into tactical mode to make some small fixes and improvements there in the next couple of weeks. And then streamer mode's out there for us as well. That's the big one left on the roadmap. So we'll be getting to that one very soon. Let's jump into some Q&A. All right, first up for Q&A this week, Sync Game and Universe. I have a question regarding connectivity between content universes and created games. I absolutely love that I can create NPCs, handouts, scenes, and other items using the content universe rather than having to join the game to do so, like some other VTTs. However, I've run into a few bumps that can make this a bit cumbersome. First, although I can add created content to a game, there's no persistent connection between the thing as it exists in the content universe and as it exists in the game. So if, say, a handout is later edited in either the universe or the game, that change isn't reflected in the other location. So I either have to update it in both places or delete it from the game, edit it in the universe, and then re-add it to the game in order to keep parity. Is there any chance that this could be amended in the future? I think I'll pause there and answer that part first. Yeah, I think that that's very likely. We do a little bit of that right now with assets. If you go into a universe and you've uploaded an asset to it, like an image or an audio file, and you've used that asset in a scene or in a on a character's token, for example, and you go to that asset in your universe and you right click on it and choose the replace menu item and you upload a new asset, that will go out and sync to everything in every game that uses that universe that has used that asset before. So we do a tiny bit of that right now, which I mention only because A, it's kind of a hidden thing. So that's out there. And B, it is an indication that we want to do that and we're going in that direction. So yeah, I think it's only a matter of time before we add that capability to connect your game and your universe in a more kind of syncable way. So I think that will be optional because there are times where you don't want to do that, but it's definitely something that we'll work on. All right, the second part. Tangential is there any way to do the same between scenes in a game? For example, if an NPC appears in multiple scenes, there's essentially a different instance of that NPC in each scene. So any change made while in one scene is lost moving on to another. Regardless, keep up the awesome work. I've really enjoyed my time with Alchemy, and I can't wait to see what's down the road after V1. The One Ring 2E, please. Best, Josh, the Demiurge. Okay, so for the second part about NPCs, there is actually a feature today that will help you with that. And I think it might be easiest if I just show a demo. So I'm going to go out to my Dragonbane game. Actually, let's do Tales of the Valiant because it's new and exciting. I'm going to add a second scene to this. I'll just go ahead and add this one. So in this second scene in the game, let's say I want to have an NPC share across both of these scenes. What I would do for that, let's take Enoch as the example. I'm going to make that NPC visible here and go play my other scene. And when I go to add NPCs to this scene, you can choose from templates. And when you choose an NPC from the templates, that will create a copy of that NPC only in this scene. What you want to do to have an NPC in multiple scenes is go to the in-game tab and find the NPC that you want to add. In this case, we want Enoch, and you click the add button. And now you see Enoch is in the Caverns of the Spore Lord scene, and Enoch is also in the current scene, which currently doesn't have a title. And this little chain icon next to it lets you know that Enoch is in multiple scenes. He currently has 68 HP. So if we go and we play Enoch and we change his HP down by a few here, he's now at 62 HP. If we stop playing him and go to the other scene and play Enoch, he has 62 HP here as well. Every change you make to this character carries forward with it in every scene that you add it to in this way. If you add Enoch as a template from the templates tab into a scene, that will not create that sort of relationship. It will add a copy. So 2 ways to do it with NPCs. If you want them to be that sort of reference, then do it this way. And you may have noticed that Enoch is they, that they were hidden in the Caverns of the Spore Lord scene. They were visible, and in this unnamed scene, they're hidden. So you can have that same NPC, even though everything else is the same for the NPC, you can have their visibility different from scene to scene. So in case there's like an ambush in one scene or whatever, you can have that kind of hiddenness of the NPC be per scene. So hopefully that is a helpful explanation of how we are doing one of the things that you're asking about today. All right, let's get back into the Q&A article. Thanks for the question, Josh. There's also a write-up here of kind of how to do that for future reference. Second question, also from Josh, the Demiurge. Purchase content in your own universe. We get this one every once in a while. There's definitely a debate about it. Here we go. I have another question regarding connectivity between content universes and created games. While I love being able to create scenes in universe and then port them over to a game, I find that I'm limited with what I can add to the scene in a created universe. As a backer with access to a ton of great motion effects and sound clips, I can't seem to find a way to make them accessible in a created universe when building scenes. That content from the purchased universes can seemingly be connected to a game, but not a created universe. As a consequence, I have to add the motion and sound effects to the scene after adding that scene to a game. I'm not ruling out the possibility that I'm just being dense. Spoiler, you're not. But is there a way to access the different motion and sound effects I own from a created universe so that I can add them to scenes in there versus in game? If not, I humbly prostrate myself before the VTT gods and beg this boon. All right, we accept it. Thank you for bringing your offering before us. It'd be a helpful lift to my game prep work. Team Alchemy rocks. Best, Josh the Demiurge. Okay. Wow. Thanks, Josh, again for the question. There's not currently a way to do this, so you're not being dense. You're not missing anything. This is an intentional decision by us early on to keep us from accidentally creating a way to very easily share content with people. Just create your own copy of all the things in a universe that you bought, and then invite your friends to that universe and give them access to all that stuff. So that's the reason it is the way that it is. However, we hear you that it would be nice to be able to put your stuff in a universe. And the simplest solution to this that we've heard and that we've considered is to just disable those collaboration features when you want to have a universe that's just for your own game prep, and let you pull in stuff from things you purchased into that universe and then use that in your own games, but not share that with other people to collaborate on. That's most likely how we'll be fixing this in the future. But yeah, we definitely hear you on this. It is a pain point for sure, and we will do something to address that. So thank you for the question. And that's all for Q&A for this week. All right, that's it for this episode of the Alchemy Devlog. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, head on down below, smash that like button, subscribe for future updates. We've got great content coming out here that's not just devlogs. We've got awesome learn to play videos and other things coming out on the channel all the time. Really great content. So be sure to check that out. If you have a question you'd like me to answer, you can find a link down below where you can submit that question, and I will answer it on a future show or send you a direct response if that's more appropriate for the question. So yeah, thanks for watching. Let's go play some games.